for about 420 million years ago. There were large, huge, giant armored fish about the size of this table with bony heads that would have stood about 3 feet from the floor.
For those of you who are just listening to the podcast, the table we're sitting at has got to be at least 10 feet long.
Oh yeah,
so these were huge fish.
Very big fish, and their teeth were part of their armored heads, so they could just like chop off limbs, easy peasy.
Pull up a photograph of one, or a drawing of one.
The most famous one is Dunkleosteus. That's this guy, affectionately known as Dunky.
Oops.
Oh, where did he go?
Wikipedia.
Well, that's not a good source. Let's just go look up Dunky here. Dunky the fish. Oh, that's a donkey. I can't spell Dunkleosteus. Don't tell anybody. Dunkleosteus. There we go. Thank you, Google, for making sure I don't look like a total.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, yeah, that's guy. So these on his eyes, they had bones inside their eyeballs.
Okay.
They're called sclerotic ossicles. And so they would help some fish, and actually some diving birds still do have these today. Penguins have them. Loons have them. They keep their eyes from popping when they dive for the birds.
Oh, okay.
And so they help give your eye some structure as you're moving quickly through water. So a lot of like the predatorial fish will have these.
Wow.
So Dunky was pretty big, and you can see those teeth look pretty vicious.
Right. That's a pretty scary looking fish.
Yeah, we never found any of those in the quarry, but.
Well, you found the shells, and that's what kind of got you excited?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, just click on this. Let's make sure that got onto the...
This one?
Yeah, there. Okay, that looks great.
Great. So, yeah, that's Dunkleosteus. Everybody just calls them donkeys.
So, when you were a little kid, you were in there fishing around the quarry. Fishing around the quarry. Oh, sorry about that terrible pun. You were finding these seashells.
Yeah, and we found a bunch of crinoids, too, which
are... You're finding all this stuff I've never heard of. Yeah. You should pull that up, too. Let's find out what that is.
Crinoids they're called sea lilies, but that's actually a misnomer because they are animals, and they're still alive today. Crinoids, this is let's see if we can get to the images here. This is a live crinoid. Make sure that looks good. Yeah, that's a live crinoid, or a model of one. But what we usually find in the fossil record are mostly the columns, so the stem, they look like SpaghettiOs. So I just call them fossil SpaghettiOs. You can sometimes find the pinnacules, the little arms and the fibers up here, but they're harder to preserve because they tend to flow away because crinoids like to live in turbulent cold waters.
Okay.
They are filter feeders, so you have to have a lot of water moving through those feathers up on their arms to get the nutrients that they need. So there's actually a petition right now to try to make crinoid the state fossil of Iowa.
Wow.
Yeah. So cool.
So these would be like embedded in the rock or something?
They look like this. If you get a good one. Mostly you just get, this is most commonly what you get. And they look like fancy SpaghettiOs.
How do you get those fossils from the one we just saw?
Those are the stems. So the stems are segmented. All of those little guys are stacked on stacked on stacked.
I got you.
Yeah.
So they're sloughing off of each other. Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's usually what you find are just these little bits of pieces.
So they kind of they just kind of fit into each other, stack. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you found those in your little girl. How old were you? Like in your teens, or you?
Oh no, we started doing this when we were like 5.
Wow.
I mean, the quarry's closed on Sunday, so it's perfectly safe. So they just let us climb around on rocks, and we would. Dad would have the hammer, so if we found anything, we'd go, Dad, my sister and I. And he'd come over and chisel it out for us, and then we had boxes and boxes of them.
Wow.
So.
That's incredible.
Yeah, if we got really, really lucky, we would find a trilobite.
Well, okay, what's a trilobite? Man, you're bringing in all the cool things today.
Yeah. Trilobites are little. They basically are somewhere between a cockroach and a. I don't know. Oh, she found a trilobite. They're somewhere between a cockroach and an isopod.
These were pretty common, though, I think, right?
Yeah,
because those were all over the world, pretty much.
Yes. The most famous are the Moroccan trilobites because they're really, really pretty. You get great looks. So the fossils are really, really well put together from them. You get incredible preservation. Let's just do this. Moroccan. Tree people. Okay. Like this guy.
Oh, wow.
This one's really cool because it helps you look at the evolution of the eye. So this portion right here is actually the eyeball of the trilobite. So it has a compound eye. And these were one of the first, they came around in the Cambrian, which is 540 million years ago-ish. And so they are an early organism, and they survived through, they were gone before the dinosaurs. I can't remember exactly when the last genera went extinct, but they were around for a long time.
Wow.
And
It's incredible.
yeah, some of them lived in the muck at the bottom of the ocean. Some of them swam. Some of them did a little bit of both. Some of them burrowed. It was just, they are really, really cool organisms.
So how would something like, normally when you see a fossil, like especially an aquatic fossil, they're compressed and they're flattened down. This one's a three-dimensional.
He probably died in
example.
like a submarine landslide. Like
Wow.
a bunch of really soft, mucky stuff, like, and didn't squish him.
Right.
And so what you do with these is they're almost all preserved in limestone, which is a calcium carbonate. The chemical formula is CaCO3.
Wow. Okay.
So that's easily dissolved using a dilute acid. So what we do is we take these rocks, we put them in a bucket of hydrochloric acid, HCl. It dissolves away all the limestone, but leaves the silicious, so silica-rich skeletons behind.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So that is a trilobite. I'm fairly certain of one of the other photos you showed us. I'm fairly certain my university in Eastern Canada had a huge sample of one that was on the wall, and they said they found it in an area not far from.
Canada had a lot of inland seas throughout the history too.
Thank God for Canada. People.
Oh yeah.
So now that we know that all these aquatic creatures were in Iowa.
So very, very Midwest, which is weird because I actually moved from Coralville to Coral Ridge down here. Only one of these places still has coral.
Right. But that basically proves, though, that that part of the United States was underwater for a long time.
Yes.
Under salt water, though, right? Right.
Yep, we were a shallow tropical sea.
A tropical sea.
Before the advent of trees, though, so there was no life on land when these guys were around yet. At the beginning, during the Devonian...
No plants?
No trees. Most of the dry earth was actually going to be covered with like moss, lichen, algal mats.
So kind of like what you'd find if you went up to the Arctic.
Right, so there were no vascular land plants until later.
So a vascular land plant would be like a modern tree or a bush or
It started off with something similar to like liverwort.
Really?
So, or
incredible.
like horse fern.
Show us a liverwort and a horse fern. So for the people who've never seen that before, I've never seen that before. I mean, I'm sure I've seen it, I just didn't know what it was.
They're kind of mossy, but they do have a structure to them, so they can stand up. So one of the big transitions that had to happen before you could get onto land was you had to be able to hold your own weight. So liverwort was a big one at the beginning.
So they just developed a protein structure that would let them hold their weight? Or?
They developed the xylem and phloem, so that the crunchy structures. So that's the early land plants.
See, these are Google searches I would never do on my own. This is incredible.
I know, they're a little scary. So yeah, liverwort. This is what one of the earliest ones would have looked like for an artist's rendition, of course. But really cool stuff. Very simple plants. They couldn't get very tall because they didn't have very solid structures yet. So it wasn't until you reached the Carboniferous, which in North America we split into the Mississippian and the Pennsylvanian. This is the time at which most of the coal deposits on Earth were formed. So Carboniferous.
Wow,
made of carbon.
That makes sense. Wow. So most of the coal deposits were these plants, you're saying?
They were from when we got to the Devonian, when we started to have trees.
Okay.
So we had some really cool trees. They were...
so hold on, I don't mean to interrupt you. We transferred from one period where the plants were very, very small.
Yeah, and so these guys were huge. They were instrumental in forming soil.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So once we got soil, the trees could get bigger.
So these were probably more like rock clingers, where they cling onto a rock. And, okay, I got you.
So we started going from these little organisms. Oh, I'm a little off here. Sorry. These little organisms to getting into big, big trees. So we moved into scale forests. These trees were, they looked scaly. They were called lepidodendrons. All of the names are great.
You got to bring that up. You can't just assume that I know what these are. I cannot believe I'm having a Monday morning conversation about plants and really digging it.
They're great. Lepidodendrons are super cool trees. This is what their bark actually looked like. It was very, very scaly. They basically had armor. So a lot of early plants had to evolve to keep organisms from eating them. So that's why in the jungles and tropical forests you get really spiny plants, is because everything wants to eat them. So this is what the trees looked like. This would be a lepidodendron. This is a good picture of it here, where you can see they're just like one really tall trunk and basically kind of like a palm tree.
Right.
And they didn't have true leaves like a palm tree. They more had like, kind of closer to a fern type top. but the sides were all scales. So sometimes in certain places in Iowa you can get these deposits.
Really?
Yeah, they're a little more rare though.
And you find the imprint of the bark like in a mud deposit that hardened and became a stone?
Yep.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So when you were small, you were finding plants like this, or you were just finding the...
I found some petrified wood. I think once or twice my dad found the lepidodendrons when I was around, but he always had the better eye.
Right. Well,
yeah. I mean,
little
little
more
children easily
experienced.
distracted.
Of course,
Yeah.
That's incredible. So this is what got you excited about the prehistoric planet for sure, and for geology as a secondary thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually incredible. So, what's the coolest fossil you've ever yourself found? Maybe not in the United States, or maybe anywhere in the world.
Oh, I found what's the coolest one I found? I found a really cool piece of petrified wood. There's also one deposit in Iowa City where I did my undergraduate and my PhD work, where you can get some pyritized stuff. So you get fossils that have been turned into fool's gold.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's so we have one down the hall.
We'll have to dig that up.
Yes. So mostly they are pyritized. Oh, I spelled it completely wrong. Pyritized brachiopods usually, and that's what we have in the hallway down there. And I found a small, really crummy one, nowhere near these quality, but basically they look like they're gold. Their entire atomic structure has been replaced, like as they decayed. Sulfur and the other minerals required to make pyrite were abundant in the environment, and so they were entirely replaced by pyrite. So, yeah, pretty cool. I mean, it makes for a great picture.
So these are fossilized animals that are turned into the mineral pyrite, which for the people who are not familiar with pyrite is known as fool's gold, because as you can see, it kind of resembles gold a little bit.
It smells though. It
smells like sulfur,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it stinks. Isn't that incredible?
Uh-huh.
I've actually never heard of this before, so I'm very happy to know about this.
They're great. And yeah, we have one in the hallway.
See, Broward has everything.
We do.
Isn't this incredible? Now, did you know that Tiger Tail Lake, our recreational facility here at Broward, John Groover is the guy who runs it. He takes a trip, I think twice a year, a camping trip to a little bit north of here.
Peace Valley or Shark?
To Shark Valley or something. Peace Valley?
There's one with Peace and one with Sharks.
Yeah, Shark Valley is down in the Everglades. That's the place where you can go to see crocodiles. Or
And
crocodiles,
shark teeth.
excuse me. I did not say crocodiles.
Hey, there are some around here.
Yeah, there are, but they're not at Shark Valley. Those are alligators.
Okay. Do you know how you tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator?
It's the snout, right? No?
One will see you later. One will see you after a while. But no, you're right. It is snout
That's
shaping.
a little funny joke, science joke there, ladies and gentlemen. Science joke.
But yeah, you're right. The snouts are different as well as their color.
Okay.
So
crocodiles are a little duller
a little
color,
more
right?
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
he also has a trip to, it's outside of Arcadia, and it's where they go fossil hunting.
Yeah.
On the Peace River. It's called the